Well, the new developments here today on what has been a certainly big weekend of upheaval in politics. Kamala Harris making her first comments and appearance today since the bombshell news about President Joe Biden. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us today at 5. I'm Doug Proffitt. Also happening today, it comes as Andy Beshear starts his morning on national television, strongly endorsing her, and then talks one-on-one with WHAS11 News, giving some new details. The vice president appearing in public today at a White House event. Harris not talking directly about the presidential campaign, but speaking in a clear, concise manner during the low-pressure event, offering Democrats the opportunity to alleviate their concerns as President Biden often stumbled during public remarks.
I am firsthand witness that every day our President Joe Biden fights for the American people, and we are deeply, deeply grateful for his service to our nation.
She's also now collecting endorsements from more key Democrats, including the former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, out today with a statement praising President Biden and saying, quote, "My enthusiastic support for Kamala Harris for president is official, personal, and political." Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear giving his support during a live interview on MSNBC's Morning Joe program.
I'm excited to fully endorse Vice President Harris as for the next president of the United States. The vice president is smart and strong, which will make her a good president. But she's also kind and has empathy, which can make her a great president.
But Andy Beshear's endorsement could indicate a greater connection to the Harris campaign. Governor Beshear, of course, as you know, is on a short list of candidates being considered to be Harris's running mate. In fact, ABC News has put him in the top 3. WHAS11 senior reporter Isaiah Kim Martinez and our senior photojournalist Alyssa Newton headed to Frankfort this morning, where the governor talked one-on-one with them, even revealing the call he got from Kamala Harris last night. It's an interview you'll only see on WHAS11 News.
The governor says when somebody calls, you at least listen. Turns out we're learning that's exactly what he did when Vice President Kamala Harris called just hours after President Biden's announcement on Sunday. Have you had any conversations with the vice president in the last 12 hours or so? Do you plan to?
Well, the vice president reached out to me yesterday, just a couple hours after the president put out the news. And I was very grateful that she would reach out to me personally. She asked for my support. I agreed. And thus, this morning, I fully endorsed her and will do everything I can to help her win.
Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear talking to me one-on-one outside the doors of his Frankfort office. He's on a short list of Democrats being considered to be Kamala Harris's running mate. He hasn't said publicly whether he'd entertain the opportunity if asked, but political analysts have noted his ability to win in a deeply red state. But what could you bring as far as what you've learned here in Kentucky, what you've been able to do?
Well, certainly we've shown that we know how to win. We know how to reach across the divide and how to campaign in a way where we talk to people and not at them.
Louisville Congressman Morgan McGarvey is a friend of Beshear's, who also talked to him since Sunday.
I can't tell you exactly where his head is, but I can tell you what I'd love to see. I would love to see a Harris-Beshear ticket. I think that would be an amazing thing, not just for our Commonwealth, but for our country.
Meanwhile, Kentucky's Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman was asked if she's prepared to step into the governor's seat if he were called to Washington, D.C.
Well, that's my job, is to be ready. The reason that they pick a lieutenant governor is to have that succession plan in place, and they pick someone they believe is ready. And I wouldn't have accepted if I didn't think I was ready, and I don't think the governor would have asked me if he didn't think I was ready. So I'm ready.
For right now, that remains a hypothetical, but things are moving quickly for the Democratic Party, with selections expected to happen sooner rather than later. Isaiah Kim Martinez, WHAS11 on your side.
And I'll be talking more with Isaiah about how this week could play out coming up tonight at 6. Plus, the former Louisville Mayor Jerry Abramson sits down this afternoon with me, giving very direct comments about the state of Joe Biden, who Abramson is blaming for this political upheaval. And he worked with Biden in the Obama White House. And ahead in this newscast, it's history in the making, but history we have certainly seen before. Well, what a surprise. Take a look who it is. Who is this stranger joining me at 5 o'clock? It's going to be Ben Pine. Where you been, Ben?
About 10 months in the early mornings.
I know that. I know that. And you are not working around the clock. You've joined us again in the evening for a little bit. So glad to see you back here with your, of course, accurate forecasts. And you're going to tell me it's going to be sunny and Chamber of Commerce weather. I know it.
I'm not sure about that, Doug, but happy to be back here talking about the return of some mugginess, actually. We've had kind of a break in the heat and humidity over the last several days. In fact, this is day 6 in the 80s, and it looks like for the rest of this work week, we'll be in the 80s. So we're dodging those 90s thanks to quite a bit of cloud cover out there and some occasional pop-up showers and thunderstorms. It is getting more humid, as I mentioned. 87 at Bowman feels like 91, 85 at Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport feels like 87 degrees. And we do have some batches of little showers and thunderstorms here, mainly west of I-65. Nothing severe with this, but they're very slow movers and putting down some torrential rainfall, so it could produce some localized kind of isolated flooding to watch for. We've got this shower down the Bluegrass Parkway just to the east of Elizabethtown. Meade County, this storm growing a little bit bigger here just to the south of Brandenburg, and then some of the heaviest rain has been in Grayson County, settling down around Litchfield, but still pretty heavy with some lightning and thunder and some gusty winds possible around the Caneyville area. And then here you can see some more of these thunderstorms around Fort Knox and over to Brandenburg, and a lone little thunderstorm not really moving at all just to the southeast of English in Crawford County. So that's what we've got out there now. As we head towards sunset, notice this activity kind of diminishes here as we lose that daytime heating and lose some of that energy. So partly cloudy, mostly dry for the overnight period, and then tomorrow afternoon, same kind of deal, more 80s and more of those pop-up showers and thunderstorms. So for tonight, mostly dry. Low of around 70 degrees, around 80 at lunchtime tomorrow, and about a 30% chance of that pop-up storm tomorrow afternoon with a high up to around 85 for again. I'll show you how many more days we'll have these storm chances coming up.
Ben, thank you. Police are investigating after another deadly shooting that happened right in downtown Louisville, this time near Museum Row on historic West Main Street. It happened Sunday morning at about 1:30, right at the corner at 8th and Main. Today, one local business owner talked to WHAS11's Gabriel Gonzalez about the aftermath and how it could impact downtown's business.
Sunday morning shooting hit in the heart of downtown Louisville. In an area popular with tourists, a man found shot dead inside of a car not far from the Louisville Slugger Museum and Factory.
Anytime anything like this happens, I don't know, it's just bad for downtown tourist traffic. Callie,
a barista at Blackbeard Espresso across the street from the Science Museum, knows the stereotypes of downtown Louisville. And while she's concerned about crime, she's also concerned about her job.
That is the Science Center, so yeah, that's like a family-friendly area, so it's very nerve-wracking. I don't know, it's not good for business, obviously, down here.
As you can see right here, the Kentucky Science Center now has a bullet hole right in the side window. Now, a representative told me that this was not here last week. She said it was because of that shooting that happened on Sunday morning. And this is not the only evidence that a shooting happened. Right across the street, there is a statue that also has a bullet hole.
A lot of people think that's scarier than it is, I guess. And then you'll see stuff like this and you're like, oh my gosh, see, I told you, there's people shooting people out there. So, but it really isn't that common, at least in this area. So, hopefully it doesn't deter people from coming down here.
In Louisville, Gabriel Gonzalez, WHAS 11, on your side.
Today, Louisville Metro Police told us this investigation is still ongoing and that they cannot comment as it is pending. One man is dead and 2 women have serious injuries after a shooting that happened this morning in Old Louisville. Metro Police say they responded to the shooting at 4th and Oak at about 9:40 this morning. Officers got there and found 3 people had been shot, 1 man and 2 women suffering from gunshot wounds. They say they rendered first aid to all the victims before EMS took them to U of L Hospital downtown. The man was taken to the hospital with critical injuries and later died from his injuries this afternoon. LMPD detectives are working to determine the relationship between the victims, if there is any. If you have any information that can help them, call the anonymous tip line at 574-LMPD. Also developing today, Metro Police investigating a fatal shooting that happened on Dixie Highway right in southwestern Jefferson County. Officers responded to a trouble run after 9 o'clock last night. They say they found a man with a fatal gunshot wound. Officers pronounced him dead at the scene. The homicide unit is investigating this shooting, but they say they have no suspects at the moment. You can also call that tip line at 574-LMPD. A man was sentenced to more than 40 years in prison for his part in an ambush shooting that happened at the Caesars Casino in southern Indiana. Louisville musician Little Don Williams was shot and killed right in the parking lot of the Southern Indiana Casino in March. According to the Harrison County prosecutor, 20-year-old Antoine Proctor admitted to killing Williams. Security video shows Proctor and other suspects waiting in a car for Williams to leave the casino. They then cornered him and shot him. Proctor pleaded guilty. The two other suspects are involved in this case. His plea agreement was accepted by a judge, and he will serve 45 years in a prison in Indiana. Happening today, Antonio Coleman, the man accused of sexual harassment in Louisville's downtown hospital district, has been declared incompetent for trial yet again. A judge declared it for the 28th time today, ruling over a rape allegation from 2022. WHAS11's Ian Hardwick reports it's the second time for this same case.
Antonio Coleman and his accuser met here at 2nd and Broadway before going to a nearby parking garage. Court documents say video shows them together in the garage, but there's no video of the alleged rape that was said to have happened there.
Now that the accuser is willing to testify in court, the prosecutor is trying again to force Coleman into mental health treatment. She laid out her arguments before Judge Jennifer Bryant Wilcox Monday. The move failed last year when Judge Wilcox ruled there wasn't enough evidence of the crime. Under state law, this process, called a 202C, only works for major violent crimes and happens after incompetency is declared. Here's Coleman's defense attorney back in June.
He doesn't understand why he's back in jail. He doesn't understand what's happening here, like what we're trying to do, or what the Commonwealth is trying to do.
Since 2011, beginning with a robbery case, Coleman was arrested, then found incompetent for trial 28 times. Included in that count, 5 cases where medical workers accused him of sexual harassment, which prompted a warning from the LUMED group in early 2024.
Disorderly conduct or criminal trespass or indecent exposure, while those are troubling and they shouldn't happen, it simply doesn't fall under the category of offenses that qualify for a person to be detained under a 202C action.
Former Jefferson County Judge David Holton recognized how this cycle of arrest and release continues.
If we had proper behavioral health care in this country, we wouldn't need a criminal justice system.
He also said the system is overcrowded with people just like Coleman. In Louisville, Ian Hardwick, WHAS11, on your side.
And the court will consider the evidence against Coleman again on August 19th. However, the case will proceed privately unless the judge or Coleman's defense decide otherwise.